TheorySabers.com.
J.J. Abrams had to like make some shit up and be like, okay, he was Palpatine the whole time because they couldn't figure it out. First he was Plagueis, then he was freaking this like unknown dude from the unknown regions apparently, and then he became Palpatine, and then he was a nobody, and it was like, man, you guys make your stuff up, like get it right the first time you start the script, and that's it.
Did you hear the rumor that on the production of The Rise of Skywalker, Daisy Ridley was told that she was going to be a Kenobi?
Yeah.
Did you remember hearing that?
Yeah.
That's during production.
I know. And Snoke was supposed to be Plagueis.
That would have felt so forced at that point, honestly, after The Last Jedi.
I would have. Well, if they had kept that in The Last Jedi, and like the whole way through, I think that would have been much better. But
no, I think so too. We talked about this last week, but he should have been Plagueis. Like that's just such a cool idea.
There was this guy that used to email me different things. He was like the most mysterious dude, and he had a website and a handle. And I mentioned this only once on stream in the past. And he had a website and a handle in each email, and they were so cryptic, unbelievably cryptic, dude. I thought this guy was like legit working at Lucasfilm or something like that. Turns out he wasn't, apparently, supposedly. I don't know even. And his website, you would click on the link, or you'd go to it. I remember, and it was just a full on just one page, and it had his name, and that was and a cartoon image of an animal. I'm not even going to divulge into too much information, and that was it. It was so weird. I'm like, why would someone be paying this amount of money for this website to have like one page which says welcome to the or whatever, and that's it. That's all it was, and it was a cartoon image, and I'm like, this is so weird. And he would randomly pop up like sometimes at like 3 a.m. while I'm writing scripts. And I'm like, holy shit, it's this guy. And he'd be like writing these weird freaking, I can't even say they were theories. He was like full on telling me like what it is. And he's like, they're watching, they're enjoying your videos, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the freak is this? And so essentially in one of the emails, he wrote this thing that Snoke, and it was actually so freaking cool. Snoke was a ancient Sith Darksider vampire type of being who had been dead and was like extremely powerful thousands of years ago from the Old Republic. And what happened is that he was imprisoned and entombed because like they finally got him. The Jedi finally got him, and like they couldn't kill him because he's immortal, but they took away his abilities by trapping him in some tomb, some coffin. And it was like some Sith thing. Dude, this is the coolest. And he was so hungry because he could not feed. He was almost like Nihilus in the sense where he like needed energy to survive, and he was like almost like a Sith vampire, like a Force vampire. But because he was trapped in this tomb, he was unable to feed, and so he just kept growing weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker until thousands of years passed, and Order 66 happened, which created so many mass deaths of extremely powerful Force users of the Jedi, and that released into the galaxy, and he was able to absorb their energy from like light years away in the unknown regions. And this is where Snoke eventually broke from the tomb from getting his powers back from all of the dead Jedi. And that was like the coolest theory that I had ever come across regarding Snoke. And I think I remember I made a video about it, and like people were so on board with it as well. And I was just like, this is the coolest freaking thing that could possibly be. If he's not Plagueis, this is really interesting.
That's the move.
And, how would they kill him? How, who is this guy? That then opens up, journeys into the Old Republic and who he was in his prime, and stories about him and stories about who, trapped him, and all this and that. And I thought that would have been, a great segue into where Disney was going with Star Wars. But unfortunately, he became Palpatine in the end, and there were clones of him in vats and stuff like that. And that's that's the multi-billion-dollar corporation that we have now with Star Wars, unfortunately. But I thought that was just the coolest idea. I thought it would have been so much more well received. I think people might have been on the fence, but at least they wouldn't have been as opposed to it as freaking somehow Palpatine returned. You know, so
Yeah.